Okay, let's see where this goes today. There's a guy who watches this channel called Steve. He's doing his own challenge. He's an American guy. I only know him through YouTube, Iron Distance. He's bound to make a comment below, so you go and check him out. Very interesting character, despite me not knowing a huge amount about him. And he said in the comments he'd be interested in knowing about what the longer form videos were that I want to make once I finish doing this. So that's where my brain started, but it's not where my brain ended. So my brain went down the route of thinking about kind of stuff like the UPF things that I want to talk about, which is really a hot topic at the minute, and all these other kind of ideas about kind of what it is to be kind of middle-aged and everything. Then I started thinking about like what the essence of kind of being in your midlife is, being middle-aged. What does it sort of really mean? Well, in a kind of mathematical sense, it means that you're kind of between your 40s and 50s. The likelihood is we'll live until we're kind of between 80 and 100 if we're lucky. And I guess it kind of got me thinking about what that means to me and what relevance my experience and my kind of life has on talking about those things. And I appreciate that my kind of life up until this point is kind of somewhat unusual. What I've done for a living, the things I do, my life, the music and the filmmaking and the teaching at uni and stuff like that. It's not really a parallel with an awful lot of other people. And I kind of wonder whether my experience is kind of slightly skewed. And then you add into the mix my kind of relatively recent sobriety and my take on life, kind of following that. And when you blend all those things together, I guess you kind of get a bit of a unique sort of blend of stuff, right? I'm sure a lot of people experience sobriety, but maybe they don't come from the same background as me. Maybe you get some people that are from the same background as me and maybe they're still drinking or whatever. But I wonder if perhaps if I kind of worked for, a couple of corporate companies all my life or something, my experience might be a bit more relatable. Because I think this is how I kind of see life, is that at my stage in my life, where I'm at right now with where my head's at, I have a lot more independence. My kids are grown up. I'm able to kind of pursue things that maybe were put on the back burner. Now, that seems ridiculous because I've done that all my life. I've made music, I've made films, I've kind of done all the things that most people have to kind of put on hold. And that's where possibly some of the relatability goes. But you couple that with the fact that I've become sober in the last couple of years, and you get this kind of slightly unique blend where perhaps what I want to do, and more importantly, why I want to do those things, has completely changed for the first time in 30 years. I was trying to describe it to somebody the other day. They were asking me about whether people think I'm more boring now I'm sober. There's this kind of, it's weird. It's like a second level kind of expectation that people think that other people will think that sober people are boring. They don't really. They don't tend to think that. I think it's a little bit of a myth. But what I was trying to explain to them was the chaos that was around me whilst I was drinking, like externally that I was creating, was to avoid the chaos inside. Like I was doing anything and everything I could to avoid all of the chaos that was within me. And what I've done is I've completely flipped that. What seemingly is on the outside is calmer and kind of more controlled because I have that ability, but it also means that I've got to confront the chaos in me that I was kind of silencing with the alcohol, and that's kind of the only way I can relate it. Another analogy would be like having, every single room in your house just, really untidy and disorganized and really sort of just shutting the doors on it by drinking, whereas, in the last couple of years what I've done is not only open the doors, but I've taken them off the hinges, and I've got to deal with, what's inside those rooms. So, what appears to be sort of maybe boring to some people, or maybe somebody who's just more calm or whatever, it's not at all what's going on behind the scenes. The work that goes on, internally, it just doesn't get shown externally because I have the control to not do that. It's a double whammy. The control you need to be able to do it gives you the ability to look after yourself externally and exist in the world like a better human, but then internally there's all this stuff going on. And I don't think that's something that's a unique experience to me. I don't think it can be. I think everybody kind of has that. And you couple that with the fact that, when you're in midlife, you suddenly get this independence and the ability to sort of explore the things that maybe you haven't been able to in the past, either financially or because of time, because of families or what have you. Then so be it. You can do that. But that's my experience of the world. There are all these other people out there that at this time in their lives, they're kind of experiencing a shift in identity, in fact, away from the businesses they ran, or maybe they're starting to see that the opportunities for them to progress in the business they might have worked in all their lives are starting to narrow. I know at this time in our lives that most divorces are instigated by the female partner at our age. Also, male suicide rate goes through the roof between 40 and 55. It's at its highest. So I know that my experience, as unique as it is exactly that. It's unique. I've got these things that I can share. I get the sense that most people out there of our age are actually having a very different experience to the one that I have. So I wonder how relatable it kind of really is. And I guess that's what's been going through my head is sort of, have I got anything to offer more broadly? Not that that's the plan with this. It's always been an internal journal, and that's what you're kind of hearing being spitballed right now. But I guess I'm just honestly wondering sort of what other people's experiences are. Is this an echo chamber? Am I surrounded by people who are in exactly the same position with me? Their headspace is in the same place? Or, you know, what is everybody's unique position? And to sort of wrap this up, I think midlife is one of those weird times of life that's sort of parodied. It's kind of like you get the piss taken out of you if you kind of like seemingly going through a midlife crisis. People suddenly have this financial freedom, and perhaps their identity, you know, for the last few decades is being challenged, and they go out and buy a motorbike or whatever, and it's kind of eye roll time. But when you're a child, or when you're a toddler, or when you're an adolescent, or when you're an elderly person, there isn't that kind of cynicism and kind of eye rolling going on. But it seems to be something that's kind of unique to people in their midlife. Like, I don't know, like we're not allowed to kind of go and do that stuff, despite whether in fact it might be a massive cry for help as it is with some people, or whether it's just a change in kind of how people are seeing themselves. So I think sort of culturally and socially, I think sort of midlife is kind of misunderstood. I think, yeah, it's not accepted as being okay to find it a difficult time of life. As you're kind of growing up and you're sort of working out your identity, it's okay. But as your identity shifts in midlife, which it does pretty much for everybody, that's seemingly sort of not okay. It's weird. Can't really figure out why that would be the case. Maybe some of you can kind of answer that in the thing below. But that's my kind of journaling for today. Like, it's genuine, honest journaling. Like, where's my head at the minute? I know who I am. I kind of know what demons and things I'm kind of battling, and the experiences and the fun that I'm having overcoming those challenges. And I am genuinely loving it. How does that sit with everybody else? Like, what's everybody else's experiences? Now, maybe, just maybe, all of this is being triggered by the fact we had a burst water main outside our house, and they then spent 3 hours at midnight, between midnight and 3 a.m, digging up the road and keeping us all awake along our road. So, yeah, who knows whether that's why my head is at where it's at the minute. But yeah, I guess it's quite an introspective, kind of inward-looking thing at the moment. But, you know, you're the one that clicked play.